So happy to have my friend Suzannah on today. Hi, Suzannah.
Hi, how are you?
And I'm fine. And Suzannah is here because she has created an incredible and innovative brand over the years since I've known her, and prior to that as well. It's called Suzannah.com, and she essentially is a fashion designer. I'll let you talk about your history in a moment, Suzannah. But a fashion designer who has created an amazing brand in what would seem to be a flooded market. She also has a retail outlet in central London in Marylebone, as well as an online presence as well, an online store, and has just done so well with a very exclusive client group. And so I particularly wanted to have Suzannah on today to talk about innovation and how can you access and survive, and not just survive, really thrive as well in, as I say, a flooded market. When there are sort of literally millions of other competitors. So lovely to have you here, Suzannah. Thank you for joining. And if you could just give us a little bit of a background. I'm sure I've missed the best bits. Give us a little bit about your background and what you do, and then we'll talk about innovation.
Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. So I've did a fashion design and textile degree. And then I worked in the industry for major high street brands. I worked as a designer and a design manager. I also worked as a trend forecaster. Throughout my career, I'd kind of travelled all over. And whether it's factory sourcing or sourcing cloths, which is my absolute passion. I also kind of went vintage sourcing as well for a couple of brands, and that is kind of my personal hobby. I've always been really interested in collecting vintage art or vintage couture and special pieces from the 30s and 40s. And so I got to a point in my design career where I'd kind of progressed up the ladder, and I felt that my job has become less about design anymore. And also I wanted to really I was involved in more not fast fashion, but kind of more of a high street level. But my main passion is cloth and textiles, and the actual kind of the real construction of vintage pieces. And so I thought the only way to kind of do this was to create and design pieces alone, and to kind of go solo, really. So I kind of set about creating, I thought if I created 10 amazing dresses that I loved from initial kind of pieces of archive inspiration that I'd collected, and create my 10 ultimate things. There was a coat dress, an amazing jersey dress, and I developed everything from scratch, finding the textiles from Italy, creating the shapes, doing hand finishing, just as I absolutely wanted them to be. And then that's how I started off. And I thought, well, if I can kind of sell those and gain kind of momentum off this, there's something behind going it alone. And so I managed to do that. They were a great kind of success immediately. And also I was just so passionate about it. I felt that I could really sell, because I really believed in what I'd done. And there was so much information behind each product. They were so kind of artisan in a way, that I could tell the story to people. This is why I did it. They were really, I made sure they were so flattering and cut to perfection. And so that's how I started. I then came about, I found on Gumtree actually, a shop kind of stroke studio in Little Venice. And so I started, I thought, right, I'm gonna, where do I sell these clothes? I've probably done it all. I probably did do it all, back to front really, but this is how I started. And I filled the shop it was very small anyway, with my vintage pieces and the collection. So it's a mix of both. And then I started creating made to order pieces, either hybrids of the vintage pieces or bits from the collection, and making clothes for people. I started in Tangent. There was a brilliant machinist that I worked with at Karen Millen, actually, and I'd known her for years, and she also started to go it alone at exactly the same time as me. And she was an amazing machinist, and she was just situated up the road, so she helped sew the garments together, and kind of realised this whole kind of venture. It was very exciting. And then so now actually I still work with her, and she owns quite a large studio stroke small factory that we still work with to this day. And this is 14 years on. So we've both kind of, we say it's our destiny. We both work with other people as well, but we've helped each other along each stage of the game. And we're also really, really kind of in sync and good friends as well. So that's been great. So that's how I started.
So that's how you started, and we'll come on to where you are now, because you've really come a long way. It's incredible. One of the things that I do know about you, and you're extremely discreet, and I only know this from looking in sort of magazines like Hello, is that you have very exclusive client base, even including royalty, and you get named in magazines like that as a designer. So you've got this really exclusive client base, and I wanted to sort of touch on innovation from that perspective, because I don't know, I'm sure you've seen the film, Devil Wears Prada, that brilliant scene where Meryl Streep sort of says it's not just any blue, it's a cerulean blue, and she talks through the history of that jumper. Do you remember that scene? And but some people would just say, well, it's a lovely dress, and that's the end of it. Whereas others would really appreciate all of the aspects that you've just described of your, your garments, your pieces that you sell. And so they would really appreciate the innovation. So I'd imagine that there is a big sort of task in, because if you've got the passion and the talent and you create these wonderful products, as it were, surely the next step in a sort of a market, which is not a brand new market, is to find an audience that will appreciate the innovation. Because as I think we were saying before, if someone comes along and they just come up with a brand new Apple phone, no one's seen it before, so you probably don't have to work too hard at explaining the innovation behind it. But with your beautiful products, you've got to find that right market, I would imagine, who really appreciate what's gone into it and what your pure innovation is. So if that's the case, can you tell us a little bit about how you managed to find that target market, or that appreciative market?
So it's really interesting, actually. So the market almost came to me. Well, I started to kind of realize very quickly who my clients were, because I was client facing. Everything was face to face. I was owned a shop, so I knew exactly the kind of the demographic, the type of kind of girl or woman, and where this person was going. And it kind of evolved. It was always something special, be it special birthday or a wedding, or a christening, or kind of garden party. It sounds very, very niche, but that's why people were buying my pieces, because they wanted something very particular. And it is a very kind of, it's a niche, and it's a narrow market, but that's how it's grown, on this very kind of particular focus. So it's like you're saying, it is that particular blue. It's that blue for a reason, and it's not not any other blue kind of thing. And it's that particular fit, because the person needs to look absolutely their best, and how as good as they possibly can be flattered, be modern, represent themselves, not have have a certain amount of theatre appropriate to the event, but not something that's so out of their comfort zone they're not going to be confident in an arena where they need to be their most confident. Be it kind of presenting an award at work, being I don't know, the mother of the bride. You're on a platform, so you have to look your best, you have to be ultimately flattered, and you just have to feel right, and certainly appropriate. That's very, very key, and that's what the business has focused on so far.
And when obviously in those early days, and still even now, where do you find yourself torn, because we're talking about innovation today, and did you, or do you ever find yourself torn between your desire to really get it perfect and source these amazing pieces and this particular way of making things and the color and all of the other attributes that you sort of seek out to make it just your own. Are you torn between, or in the early days certainly, when you were trying to build this business, and obviously it's always tough at the beginning when we're building businesses, you know, we've got the need to sell and all the other million things that are going on in a business. Do you ever feel, how do you not feel compromised when you're trying to sort of find that perfect product and that perfect way of doing things, which makes it your own? Because I'm sure that, again, when people want to enter a market like yours, they're going to be faced with all sorts of opportunities to do shortcuts so that they can get it out to the market and, you know, basically make a bottom line. The other alternative, I suppose, is to not think about it as a profitable business and just go all out to make the very best product. But there is a bit of a challenge there in business. So what was your experience? What would your recommendations be with people trying to be innovative, but are thinking, my goodness, you know, I've got to run a business here. Unfortunately, you know, I've got to get some money in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is a challenge that I'm faced with all the time. I think that's why I've developed the different tiers of the business, and the different tiers have started to become more evident. So for my ultimate, I guess, indulgence, I found this a most amazing neon pure silk thigh that has to be made in a certain way. Then that goes in my couture range. Because actually you couldn't make it in more than kind of one at a time because it's so stiff, it has to be manipulated on a stand and so on. So that goes in the kind of in the couture range for lots of reasons, but also because we could no way produce you know, many of those, like with the cash flow, for example, either. So there's a lot of reasons for the couture collection. But yeah, one of them is this ultimate piece of inspiration that people do buy into, and it's quite exciting. And it kind of levies up other products as well, because if I see a passion for certain things, it kind of sparks more lights, you know, and off on tangents. So that's brilliant. So that's how I've managed to get by on the kind of the pricing and the kind of making sure you're still commercial, because not everybody, it has to be, my brand is very, I want to be approachable. I'm quite an approachable person. People love coming to the shop. They're not, you know, it's friendly and calm. It's not stuffy and staid. And I want people to be able to buy into my brand at, you know, at the different levels. So we're creating a more defined, we have got a ready-to-wear line, but we're creating a more defined kind of tier level within the ready-to-wear, so that you can buy it more, you know, for special day wear as well. So it's not just for the event. And during lockdown, me and a few members of my team did a sustainability online course with the London College of Fashion. So now we're really innovating into eco fabrics and kind of recycled, repurposed cashmere, for example. So we can add that energy into this kind of very seasonal ready-to-wear collection that has got a more of achievable price point as well. So you've got the hierarchy and the spread of the different kind of the different pricing for different markets, really, and different reasons, different end uses as well. Yeah. Go on.
It's so clever that, because I've been in your shop and it's just absolutely wonderful, like you say, really relaxing, and it's just like a haven with beautiful things everywhere. And there was a couple of things that I want to explore. Firstly, it's how you created the different tiers, because as you say, you've got these gorgeous couture pieces, and then you've got this what you call ready to wear line, which is also beautiful pieces. They all look very unique. And one of the things that I noticed that you do is, you know, you fit it perfectly to the individual when they come in as well, don't you? So it, you know, it still feels like it doesn't feel like ready to wear. It feels like completely bespoke. And then you've gone into this online store as well, where you've got lots of pieces and even diversified, like you said, into other things, day things. So I mean, that's so clever, and it's very innovative still as well. So tell us a little bit more about how you branched into, you know, you went from sort of couture then to fitting in the shop, and then even to an online store.
Yeah, well, thankfully as well, because online's been so strong recently. Obviously, nobody's had the ability to be able to come into store with all the lockdowns and so on. So thank goodness we had the online site and a good online offering, which we obviously are developing more into now as well. So I think it just all comes, I'm just really, really careful with feedback. I really study what's bought, why it's bought, if things are returned, why have they come back? It's not easy enough. It's difficult. These garments there has to be an ease around their fitting. There's certain things that are more popular online that people, you still get our look, still get a very polished finish, still something really special and amazing cloth, but not quite as structured. Just got an ease about them, an ease of wear, more versatility. So it's really developing into that. Of course, it doesn't happen overnight, and I want to be, more defined going forwards, and have more easier, more versatile things. But I'm very, very careful. I want to keep my brand kind of handwriting about these pieces, and I'm so particular as a person that I kind of sometimes, I'm kind of stopping things as well, because I just want things to be right. Like anybody that owns a brand, they're really kind of, they babysit it.
Yeah, and then it becomes a proper brand because it's so unique. And yours certainly is. One of the things as well that I wanted to ask you about, which I think again is it makes your brand, your products sort of so unique and special, is the various collaborations that you've established. I mean, from the beginning with the various different places where you source your color and your fabrics. You told me a wonderful story about a coat that I bought from you. And I absolutely adore that. I would never ever let that piece go, for all of the connotations as well as the story that you told me. But also the collaborations with suppliers of accessories and things in your store, where you get accessories to sort of perfectly match and color, in terms of color and style and everything like that. So that must have been quite a task, and a fascinating thing to do, but challenge as well, to set about with all these collaborations, because those individual companies won't just collaborate with anybody, will they?
Well, it's good. It makes it all quite interesting. So for example, I started working with a milliner, Emily Baxendale, and I still work with her now. So I think she was the first milliner to come on board, and she created a beautiful hat to go with one of my first outfits for somebody to wear to a wedding. And then it kind of progressed from there, and then I took on I met another milliner, couture milliner, Edwina Robertson. I met her at a bridal fair, just walked on her stand. I loved her pieces, amazing. And then we talked, and then we started to work together. And then it kind of, it's evolved from there. And now I work with several milliners. They all have different handwritings. Some, are more kind of creative, some are very controlled. So it depends also where, if somebody comes into store, for example, and they want a very particular look for kind of very high level events, I would give that kind of commission to one of the milliners I knew that would be particular in that field. So it's kind of, it works across the spread and the different levels. At the moment, we're selling lots of beautiful headbands and innovative kind of like hair accessories. They're just easy to buy online. And also, I think now, because the weddings are a lot smaller, they're down to 15 people. Are they going to be much bigger very soon? I'm not sure. So we're tending to sell a lot of smaller paired back pieces, the headbands and the kind of little hair accessories and bows and things. And I think it's a general trend anyway. So we've got that kind of collaboration. And then I also work with a shoe designer who's also British based, which makes it kind of quite easy. They're all London based businesses, because there's a lot of, things do have to happen at a pace, and have to be utterly reliable. And so most of these women, and there's one guy, they are kind of mainly, well, certainly all British based. Most of them are London based. And so, we can get things from each other very quickly and easily and reliably. and everything does have to be to time. It's very important what we do, and I've never let anybody down. And you have to build a reputation. I'm running on the back of a good reputation, and I love that. I want to be there for people and know that they can get the best from me. Yeah.
And I think that's also part of innovation as well, is looking at, you know, the product that you've actually created, or the service. In your case, this beautiful products, but there's service around it for sure. But then the collaborations that you choose are part of your innovation, aren't they? Because, you know, it's just those unique pairings that you're coming up with. And also the product range as well, because the product range that maybe you would have put together for 2020, I imagine has had to be really looked at. You've touched on it just now with weddings of 15 and things, has really had to be looked at in preparation for the world as we know it now, where you know, we're not going to massive events and races, and not at the moment anyway. And again, there's innovation is required there as well. So, I mean, how have you sort of innovated your product to take account of that, for example, now a society wedding might actually only comprise of 15 people, for example? I don't know.
Yeah, we've looked at it quite a lot, and the new part of the new collection that's coming out is more pared back. It's just a little bit more easygoing, more versatile. So with this exactly in mind, you have to watch what's going on and be reactive and see what people are buying, and also feel what's right. I always kind of go by my feeling. What would I wear? What would I want to kind of look like or feel like, or how would I want to present myself in these circumstances? Really have to look at the dynamics and what's appropriate. Is probably not, I always think, actually, God, it's not too appropriate just now to go out and, be a wedding in a massive hat and so I kind of really talk to my clients about, how I think the right ways to dress at the moment and in the near future, and then what we can do to kind of adapt it, even to do with like a shoe color. I had a lady, she's going to a wedding on New Year's Eve. She's wearing a beautiful red dress, and we were talking about footwear actually. She's like, oh, do I go for black? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, I don't think that's, maybe a chestnut or something, just a bit softer, soften down that look. I think it's all about being kind of sensitive at the moment as well. Yeah. And another sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say, part of innovation is about sort of getting feedback from people around you. I always find it really fascinating with fashion that, and I can't put my finger on why it is, where you'll flick through something and everything looks there's a particular thing that looks just right and it ticks all your boxes for that moment. This is as a consumer, of course. And then the next time you look at it, you might reach for something and you take it out of your shoe cover, for example, and then it just doesn't look right anymore, and there's nothing wrong with it, and it's really nice quality, but for some reason it just doesn't look right anymore. And I guess, from your perspective, part of your innovation is knowing what sort of right, or making something right, leading the way, leading the trends. And so that must be quite a challenge as well.
Yes, it is, but kind of, I think we create timeless pieces, so they kind of do last the test of time, and they're not so in and out. Which is good. It helps with the whole dynamic. It helps with business in general. It helps with the sustainability elements, their wardrobe investment pieces. So I think that's kind of a good angle and aspect of the business, and what I'm kind of like passionate about as well. And then another piece of innovation we have done recently is working together with, and again, it's about collaboration. It's working with British artists or different artists. So behind me, for example, is this beautiful oil painting that I've kind of come together with a lady, and an amazing artist, a German artist, Marie-Louise Bantel. And so again, it's something over lockdown. I found her art. It's like, oh my God, I that should be on a silk dress. And so we've kind of been chatting, we've got the art here, and then we're producing it on some wonderful textiles for going forward for example.
Ooh,
So we've created that into a beautiful piece. So again, the dress that comes from this is going to have an amazing kind of story behind it. It's got so much passion. It's got a lot of talent that's gone from the starting point through to the end product. And I think it's so important. There's so many reasons to buy a dress. It's not just a dress kind of thing, or a skirt or whatever. Yeah.
It's such a lovely example of how, you know, you can run a business and still stay excited, stay passionate, regardless of what's going on in the you know, in the outside world. You can sort of forge ahead, and that's what you continue to do with Suzannah. Suzannah.com is your website, and it's been wonderful to see. Passing comments, Suzannah, from you, a bit of if anyone's listening here and thinking, you know, I'd really love to jump into and whatever, you know, the fill in the blank, really, whatever the industry is, and they're worried about, but there's too many people doing it, or, you know, I might not be able to sell anything, or, you know, all the things that stop people moving forward. What would you say? Any sort of key tips for them?
Yeah, do what you believe in and what you think you can make a difference in. So if you have a particular passion and a kind of a belief, so if you've got this strong belief, definitely go for it, develop it, make it, but make it your own, make it a reason, make there be some elements about it, or an aspect, or kind of a niche about it that people want. And then watch the reactions and the feedback, and they kind of feel it and kind of take everything on board and react to it, and push it, and kind of push it kind of in different ways, and see kind of where the momentum is. And if it's something that you enjoy, and I mean, because you've got to love it, right? Because this is not easy. Yeah. And it's years and years, like for me it's 14 years of working on holiday, always, you know, literally working a lot, having so many ups and downs, especially this last year. But I mean, that's just not the first time I've been through a recession. You know, you've got bills to pay, you've got staff to pay, you've got people to look after. So you have to love and completely believe in what you're doing, because you've got to breathe it and live and carry it, have enough belief to carry it through its ups and downs, and your business ups and downs, because there are so many challenges, be it through legal aspects, monetary, cash flow, like everything gets thrown at you. It always feels like it's thrown at you all at once and all at the same time, but you're in it alone, really. So you have to kind of have, you know, such conviction about what you're doing, to keep you going. And that's how we survive, and that's how the whole thing sustains. It's on your own personal passion about what you're doing, and you have to really love it. And I love it as much as you love doing what you do. So if you've got that, I mean, that's the key, isn't it?
Well, you're doing it admirably. All the years I've known you, I met you in 2013. You've gone from strength to strength, and you know, business is never easy, even in a boom, let alone a recession. Business is not easy, but you're making such a fantastic job of it. And I think, as you sort of ended really nicely, really, because we've talked a lot about innovation. We've talked about your fabulous brand. If anybody wants to go and have a look, I do urge you to go to Suzannah.com, and you'll find Suzannah's wonderful pieces there. And then details of your store, I guess, are on there as well, are they, Suzannah?
Yeah. It's all on there. All bits of information about what we do, and where we produce and things like that, and the collection, and it's all on there.
You're still open, aren't you? So they can go and
we're open again, and it feels really good. Like it just feels so nice to be back.
Yeah.
And it's great. You know, we were doing okay as well, you know, with the online business over lockdown. But there's something amazing about being back, and you know, we've got some of the team back, not all of us because it's too small. So we're having to kind of rotate and distance and things still. But you know, we feel like we're getting there, and you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel. But I think hopefully everybody's feeling more that way too.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on, and to everybody here. This is the YBMB show, as I said, and as Suzannah's just outlined, you know, business is extremely rewarding, and she's obviously creating a legacy, but at the same time, it's challenging, and that's really the premise of the YBMB program, because in order to be successful and resilient and you know, able to deal with the challenges that are thrown at you, of which there are many when you're in business, it really helps to be physically and mentally fit. And as you know, I'm a big advocate of looking after your body, having your body as fit as you can possibly make it, not necessarily because of how it looks, although that's great, especially in Suzannah's clothes. You know, obviously we want to show her beautiful items off to their best, but also because it makes us strong mentally when we're strong physically, and you need to be that in this current day and age to be able to run businesses. And so if you want to hear more about the program, then there'll be a link that pops up in a moment, and you can join me on the webinar on Sunday where I talk about this in a lot more detail, or indeed go back over any of the lives we do 3 times a week, and you'll find others that have been talking about business as well, other aspects of it. But for now, Suzannah, thank you so much. I've loved listening to you. Just very quickly, what's the future for Suzannah.com then next year? Any sort of other plans, or is it, you know, more live?
I think it's, yeah, so kind of a more breadth of offer. Interestingly, we've just made some silk pajamas. We did a bit of an upcycling project with one of our kind of large rolls of had this amazing silk that I collaborated with an artist, Kate Scott, on, and I was like, oh my god, you know, this would be like, what should we do with this? This would be the most amazing pajama. So we made this luxe silk pajama set as just a little fun trial. Let's see, I put the square on Instagram of the pajamas because I was literally so excited when I saw them, and everybody in here was wanted to try them on, and I was like, this is a good sign. And then we've had such success, so I think we might kind of develop that line. I don't know, a bit of easy resort wear, you know, who knows, that just different things we love.
I guess it's still time to order for Christmas if people want to get on there and get their Christmas pajamas or their Christmas Day outfit, then you know where to go. So thanks so much, Suzannah, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye.